to the Restaurant Operator Podcast. I'm Mandy Detwiler, editor of Pizza Marketplace and QSR Web, and I'm here today with Heather Neary, president and CEO of Taco John's, which has nearly 400 units in 23 states. Heather, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Mandy.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Taco John's and how you got started with the brand? Because I know that you became CEO and president, it was last year, correct?
Yes.
So you've had about a year in the job. Tell us a little bit about Taco John's.
Sure. So I have been here about a year. Taco John's, however, has been around since 1969. Started in Cheyenne, Wyoming as a small little, almost a food truck before food trucks were a thing. And we've now grown to nearly 400 locations in many, many states in the upper Midwest predominantly. Great legacy brand. We've got second generation franchisees in the business. We've got a lot of really amazing operators who are here to honor the integrity of a historical brand that's got a lot of legs in front of it to grow forward.
Well, Taco John's has a rich legacy, as you just said. How do you balance honoring that history with the need for bold innovation to attract new demographics?
Yeah, it's a great question, Mandy, and I think it's one that we talk about a lot. And I think there's a really, simple isn't always easy, but there's a really simple way to do that, and that is just continual communication with our franchisees and our guests to understand what are some of those core assets of the brand that we can't sway from, and where can we do innovation that can take us to the next level. And so I think a lot of that comes down to talking to our consumers, talking with our franchisees, understanding how we got to where we are today and what we need to grow into moving forward to continue to be such a great, strong brand.
What's an example of something that Taco John's has done that significantly breathed new life into the brand?
I think one thing that we're testing right now, we haven't rolled it out system-wide, but we're getting closer to because the test continues to grow. But we are currently testing Presto AI through our drive-thru, which you would not necessarily think that, a legacy brand would be looking forward to doing AI already in the drive-thru space. But we've been testing in company stores for, about a year now. And we have now expanded into additional franchise locations with more coming online each week. And we're at a 93, 94% accept rate, which means that 6% of the time a human has to intercept the order because it's not going smoothly. But 93, 94% of the time, the AI voice, and there's a man, there's a woman voice, is able to take the order for the guest and able to do a great job of delivering that great Taco John's experience that people are used to.
Strategically blending the old with the new is going to be key. What are some of the biggest challenges in that process? And how have you guys kind of overcome those while you're doing it?
Yeah, again, I think a lot of it's testing. I think a lot of it is trial and error. It's understanding where we have those bumps and what are the things that are non-negotiable. So for example, we still make a lot of our products fresh in the restaurants. And I know in an age of trying to find ways to reduce labor, trying to find efficiencies, it's really important for us that we understand how important those freshly made things are in the restaurant and work around those things to continue to grow the business. Because we do need to be aware of labor. We do need to be aware of profitability. And we can do that in a way that is meaningful while continuing to honor the things that are core to our brand.
You've emphasized how technology enhances human interactions. Can you elaborate on how Taco John's ensures technology doesn't depersonalize the customer experience? How do you make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I think, the Olena thing is a great example. Presto is our AI tool. The voice, we've named her Olena after our Potato Oles, which are amazing and delicious and tasty. And so Olena is a great example of that. And I think many consumers realize that she's AI and they have fun with her. And there's every once in a while somebody who doesn't want to interact with somebody that's AI and they'll ask for a human right away. And we just jump right on that. What that does for us gives us the chance to speed up the order taking for our guests, because while the person's placing their order, we're already making the order as opposed to taking the order and then firing it into the kitchen. So it's just helping us to speed up that interaction for the guests while giving them a chance to have a fun experience with an AI voice.
How do you train and empower your team members to utilize new tech effectively while still prioritizing those genuine customer connections?
I think the customer experience is paramount, right? And that comes from really engaged employees who understand the core tenets of the brand, who understand the core values of the brand. I think a lot of it goes back to training the technology piece for a lot of our employees is nascent to them. They've grown up with technology. So an old dinosaur like me, didn't get my first iPhone until I was well into my 30s, probably. I don't even remember. But, for a lot of the younger folks that get to work for us that we're really privileged to have on our teams, they've grown up with technology. They're used to pushing buttons to get things done. They're used to keeping track of things on iPad-like devices. And so I think for us, it's just a matter of making sure that we're communicating the what's in it for them and letting them know that they're empowered to run their part of the job as they see fit based on what's going on.
What specific customer feedback have you received regarding this improved experience facilitated by these new technologies? What are customers saying about them?
I think ultimately customers aren't going to necessarily comment specifically on different pieces of technology. What they're going to comment on is the quality of the food, the experience, the speed in which they got the order, and the friendliness of their overall visit. And if we're making the jobs of our employees in our restaurants, who are super critical to our success, if we're making their jobs easier, that whole piece of the puzzle for the customer gets a lot easier. So their experience gets better, their speed of service gets better, the quality of their food is improved, and we go from there. So for most guests, it's going to be an invisible technology experience. But for us, it's about making sure that we've empowered our employees to deliver the best service possible through the use of technology.
Now, you're using AI.
We are.
How many stores you're testing that? How many stores have you guys been testing that in? No.
It's been a handful. It's been in probably 4 or 5 or 6 company restaurants for quite a while.
Okay.
And since January, we've been adding a few a week to franchise locations.
Okay.
So I don't want to tell you the number. I want to say it's probably 10 to 15 at this point. And we're continuing to grow. But obviously, we want to make sure that we're doing it right. We want to make sure that it's enhancing speed of service. It's enhancing the quality of the products we're serving. It's enhancing the guest experience. And it's also enhancing the overall profitability of the restaurant.
So what are franchisees saying? Are they happy with it? Are they nervous about using it?
I think in some cases, franchisees are initially hesitant. What we've done is taken a lot of our franchisees who are curious about it and want to learn more about it. We've taken them to our company restaurants that are already running it and let them sit there and listen to it and be part of the experience. I know I was curious about it. So last summer, I went and did a full day shift on drive-through with one of our AI restaurants and got to sit there and listen myself. And I'll be honest with you, I love working drive-through. It's my favorite position in the restaurant. And I was maybe a little bit bored because I had to just let the drive-through AI lady do her job, and she did a great job. And so my job became a little bit irrelevant. But for us, it's a matter of speeding up that service, being able to deliver better guest experience. So I actually was able to have longer conversations at the drive-through with the guests, which are meaningful for the guests. They like to talk to, a lot of our guests like to talk to us when they're at the drive-through. And so it frees you up to do some of those different things that we didn't have the chance to do before.
Well, let's talk about consumer trends that we're seeing right now. How does Taco John's stay ahead of evolving consumer trends? And what role does data analysis play in identifying those trends?
Yeah, data is king, obviously. We look at data for everything we do. And I would say Taco John's is probably not bleeding edge, but we're somewhere on that curve where we're going to let the big guys try things out. We're going to watch what they're doing, and then we're going to start to tip our toes in the water after a little bit of time, because we know that we're not a big enough brand to be able to fully play in a lot of those big spaces that the big guys do. But we do have the ability to be nimble, too, as a smaller brand. So it's a benefit for us once we do jump into those spaces, for us to have that flexibility as a smaller brand.
Do you worry about becoming too flexible, having too much going on at one time?
Oh, always. Yeah, it's always a juggling of priorities, right? I think at the end of the day, we're constantly reevaluating our priorities. We've got 3 key areas that we're focusing on this year across our entire organization. And if what we're doing is not meeting or supporting one of those 3 priorities, then we're not going to be doing it right now. And I think it's also constantly looking at what's in it for the franchisee. At the end of the day, we're focusing on franchisee profitability. And if the initiative that we're talking about is a nice to have, but not necessarily helping franchisee profitability directly, we might put that in the back seat for a period of time until we're ready to get to it again.
Now, you guys have a loyalty program, is that right?
We do, yes.
So personalization and loyalty programs are crucial in this day and age. You've got to have one. How has Taco John's leveraged those to strengthen relationships with existing customers while attracting new ones at the same time?
Yeah, I think for us, our loyalty program is kind of the core piece of our loyal guests. We've got a lot of amazing guests who have been coming to visit us for many years, and it's up to us to take the data from our loyalty program to make sure that we're delivering a customized personal experience to each one of those guests, whether they normally come for Taco Tuesday or come for Taco Bravo Thursday or come for the different promotions we have. Let's make sure that we're bringing them in for different things. Let's also give them a sneak peek into some of the new things we're working on and delivering them a little bit of a more unique experience. So it's up to us to create a custom experience based on how that guest wants to interact with us through our loyalty program.
Maintaining a consistent brand identity across all of these locations is essential for any brand, but especially for a legacy brand, because your reputation is going to be key. How does Taco John's ensure that new stores, the layouts and designs still reflect the brand's core values?
We have a very standardized process for running through the new stores, whether it's a new store opening that's being built from the ground up or a remodel program, or we have 3 different variations of our remodeling program. For us, it really is about consistency, and that's a big piece of the puzzle. So for us, it's about making the process as easy as possible for our franchisees to A, open new stores, or B, meet their remodel and refresh requirements. And so it is all about that consistency piece while also respecting the franchisee profitability in the same time.
And how are you making sure the food is the same as it is in Wyoming as it's going to be in Ohio? How are you making sure that that kind of consistency is playing out?
I mean, that comes down to our training programs, comes down to franchisee training, crew member training, employee training, and it also comes down to the visits that we do from our FBCs that are out visiting our restaurants every day. It also comes back to the feedback we get from our guests through our in-moment program. Like, that guest feedback is really important to understand what their overall satisfaction level is with us and where we have room to improve. And then finally, the mystery shop program allows us to ensure that the products are consistent from day to day and week to week.
Okay. Now, you do mystery shopping.
We do.
How does that work?
So we have a mystery shop program where restaurants are visited periodically. The mystery shopper visits the drive-through, visits the front counter. They are wearing a camera, so they are able to videotape the interaction. Okay. And that's actually a great training tool for our franchisees to either really recognize the team for a job well done because they delivered a phenomenal experience, or it can sometimes be a great coaching tool for the franchisee to say, hey, here's where some opportunities were in that visit. Okay.
And that helps the employees with their training.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you ensure that when you're building new stores, that design elements that are in store or digital resonate with both your longtime customers and your new demographic targets?
Yeah, we're constantly evolving our footprint and our look and feel. It's a slight tweak. So if you come from day to day and week to week, you won't necessarily see anything change. But we do have a standard layout and a standard format that we're constantly tweaking and modifying based on, is this in a college town? Is this in a suburbia? Is this in an urban location? Those are all the different elements that we take into consideration to make sure that we're addressing the needs of the consumers that are going to be visiting that particular restaurant.
How many stores did you all open last year? Do you know off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I think we opened 7 new restaurants last year.
And what are you planning this year?
Oh, we're not sharing that information, but we do have a pretty healthy pipeline that we're continuing to grow.
Okay. Any new states?
I don't believe we're adding new states this year. I do think there's a lot of opportunity for us to continue to grow in the footprint that we're already in. And I'd rather grow in a way that's really healthy and responsible for our franchise system than do some flag planting here, there, and everywhere. So we'll continue to grow concentrically out from our core markets.
What are you looking for in a franchisee?
We're looking for a franchisee who understands the power of the brand, who understands what it means to be a franchisee. I call franchisees, it's entrepreneur light. It's people that really have a lot of passion for running their own business within the guardrails of a franchise organization. And so we love new franchisees that have never been in the franchise space before. And then we also love franchisees that understand what it is because they've been doing this for a while. And so for us, it's that collaborative environment. It's that collaborative conversation between the franchisee and the franchisor about how we can grow the business together.
And what about online ordering? Do you guys have a big online ordering process?
We do. We have a first-party online ordering process, and then, of course, we also have a significant presence on all the third-party delivery platforms that are out there.
Okay. And how do those work for you?
They're a great avenue for us to continue to grow our business. We know that we need to be wherever our consumers are, and our consumers are in those spaces, and so we want to make sure that we're that we're in the same consideration set as any of our competitors are.
Okay. If you had a piece of advice to give to a fledgling franchisee who is either becoming a Taco John's franchisee or McDonald's and just entering the franchise business, what would you tell them?
So I will lean back on a conversation I had with a franchisee in one of the previous brands I used to work for. And she was one of our best franchisees, and she had grown to many, many units over time. And I said to her, I said, what makes you so successful? And she said, I follow what you tell me to do. I follow the directions. I follow your training. I follow your processes and procedures. And so the benefit of being part of a franchise system is that you get a great toolbook, a great process, a great guideline for how to run a business. We're here to support you and provide that guidance to you. So please use us as you need to help us grow that business.
Great. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for this episode. Thank you so much for being with us today. This has been great.
Thanks, Mandy. I appreciate your time.
That'll do it for this episode of the Restaurant Operator Podcast, and we'll catch you next time.